Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy to see you at Daily Antidote of Song. Good morning, everyone. It just feels holiday-ish in Los Angeles. Yeah, it's chilly, uh, but it's just a beautiful day, and I'm happy to be here with you this morning. Everybody, let's take a breath. Breathe in this great morning and grand rising to us all. So, hi again. I'm Arne, your host for this Tuesday edition of Daily Antidote of Song, which is lovingly brought to you by the good people at Carpe Diem Arts. Let's give them a hand because we depend on them. Yes, we do. So, today is December Antidotes Week. We are celebrating the winter holiday season, and we're also commemorating Pearl Harbor Day. And as always, we've got a very special guest in the room. You see him, you know him already, you love him. We'll get to him in a minute. Just wave to him right now. Just wave. I'm not going to say his name, but just wave to him. All right. Fantastic. Okay. So I am going to say greetings to the Facebook Live family. Wave to them. You know the drill. And hello to all of our room Zoomers. Wave to each other. Okay. And I'll start the hellos with Busy Graham. I don't know if she's here yet, but let's just give her a big hello. Jojo Rossi, who is here. And our incredible Zoom guru, as always, Katie. Fantastic. So if there's any new people in the room, please stay until the very end. And everyone's gone, and you can receive a very special welcome from JoJo. All right, let's get started with our Zoomers in the room. So, Joe, I think I'm going to take this one because I think I want to add some So, Joe, I'm going
Which
to.
Joe?
There you go.
Oh, me. All
Yeah,
right.
you, Joe.
Always the confusion. JoJo and Joe. All right, here I am.
So I'm trying to get this rhythm right here. Uh. Oh, it's not gonna work because you're behind me.
Because we're delayed, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take it. One of these days, Joe. One of these days. All right. Let me take it from here. I'm gonna say hello to all of our Zoomers in the room. Let me make this really big. Uh. Everybody. Say hey to Elsie. And Bob and Maybell and the Dancing Bears, and Becky Kane, and Brian McLaughlin, and Deli, hey, and Aloysius, and my friend Arlene Baxter, and Deborah, daughter of W. I can't see the rest, but I know you're the daughter of W, Deborah. Hey, and there's Sheila in Florida. And my friend Susan G, the curly tops, oh, I love it. And Jean in Pittsburgh, and Bob Delaney in Tucson, Sherry Shakti in New Hampshire, Sarah Page in Texas, Susan Miller in Seattle, Dane Haler, hey Dane, and Carolyn. Oh, there's another. That's my other friend Carolyn, daughter of a world. Oh yeah, she's rocking the hat. We're gonna get back to that hat. There's Johnny Harper, hey, and Katie in Charlottesville, and Luda with the hearts. I love it. And Kat Cox in Vermont, and Ralph and Penny in Victoria, and Harriet Dart. I see you. Somebody hold the rhythm. I got to go to the next page. Jim in New York City, and Storm. I love the hat, Storm. And Bonnie Schuster in Boise. Gretchen. Oh, Gretchen, hello. Joe Jencks fan. Okay. Amanda and Miles, my friends. Amanda and Miles. Let me see your face. Amanda and Miles. Hey. And Tora of W in Massachusetts. Cliff in Vermont. Good morning. Christiana and Bob. And Jane in Texas. And Sandy and Don. Sandy and Don. I see you, Sandy. Sandy and Don. There you go. And Annette Perone. and Hoda in BC, and Gloria in Minnesota. LMG, Hi, Carol J, and Fred Stolens in Silver Spring. Jamie in Victoria. Jamie's in Victoria. Jamie's in Victoria. And my girl, Ruth in Birmingham. With my pinky out, as always. And Nancy with the moo moo cow. And Kate in Charlottesville. Another Joe Jencks fan. And that's my friend Dick Jackson. And Ray Rossi. Oh, hello. And Joni. And Amos. And Bronwyn and Victoria. Susan and Martha Wagner. Loriana. It's moving. Diane Weinstein. Gary Pausner. Adrienne. And Lisa Baker. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Oh, to the Daily Antidote of Song. Okay, something like that.
Woo!
Something like that. All right. Woo. So, as I mentioned earlier, this is Daily Antidotes Week, where we are celebrating winter, the winter holiday season, and also commemorating Pearl Harbor Day. Our song leader is a much beloved member of the Daily Antidote family. He's going to be bringing 2 songs. Let's show him how much we love him. We need a gargantuan. Gargantuan. It's got to be big. Welcome for the incredibly wonderful Joe Jencks. Joe!
Thank you so much. It's 9 a.m. where you are. How are you this amazingly cheerful at 9 a.m?
Because I'm up at 5:30.
Wow.
That's what happens. Well,
That's amazing.
It's a pleasure seeing you again. I see some Christmas lights on the side.
Yeah, I got a few going over there, and yeah, it's sort of a room for all seasons here.
I love it. The sanctuary.
I even have a little toy here.
He's got toys.
From my childhood. This is a little Lego space cruiser that I got for Christmas in 1979. And I just dug out a box. I was doing a little work cleaning some things out and found the box that this cool little spaceship was in.
Oh, it took him right back there. It took him right back. I love it. I love it. Well, I'm so happy to see you today.
So they're happy to be out for Christmas. I know that, spacemen, in miniature is not everybody's idea of Christmas decorations, but for me, it just takes me back to some pretty happy days.
And that's all it's all about. That's all it's all about. So,
yeah,
tell us about the song you're going to be sharing with us.
So I'm going to start out with one that we can all sing together. It's called The Longest Night of the Year, and it's a song that I wrote honoring, in part, the solstice, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, but also with the awareness that there are so many different festivals globally at this time of year that relate to, from, Diwali on through, Advent and Hanukkah and, solstice celebrations and Kwanzaa. And there's this whole list of holidays at this time of year that are about bringing light into the darkness. And I will note that in the traditional Celtic calendar that the new year begins on November 1st, that Samhain, that Halloween, is sort of, the end of one year, and the next day is the beginning of the new year. And that the real growth begins in that fallow time, in that quiet, gentle time when the nature around us is sleeping a little bit and resting. But it only looks that way. It's preparing for the vividness of the spring to come. And we too, in the darker months, I think have this beautiful opportunity to see it not as a time of dormancy or a time of, darkness, but a time of preparation for the bounty and the wonder that is to come with each new spring. And that was sort of the spirit with which I wrote this song, holding all of those different festivals of lights and all of those ideas of growth. So I'll teach you the chorus first, and then we'll do the song. And somewhere in the shadows we find faith, that is bold enough to chase away our fears on the longest night of the year. It's still early in the morning. I'm going to drop this just one half step. For those of you playing along, my apologies. Hopefully you have capos. So it's, and somewhere in the shadows we find faith. And try that. And somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. That is bold enough to chase away our fears on the longest night of the year. Try that last line. On the longest night of the year. Yeah, so we'll put that together. And somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears on the longest night of the year. Standing in the dark, we light a candle as we hold on to the hope that things will change, that love will lead the way back into the light. The heart of winter is upon us. The chill wind touches every bone. Frost grows on the glass as daylight gives into the night. But somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears on the longest night of the year. There are days that we remember when the sun shone brightly in the sky, when all the world was new and storm clouds passed us by. But summer turns into the winter, through autumn's colors as they fall, as we strain to remember the sound of the songbird's call. And somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our tears on the longest night of the year. The promise of spring still lives within us, even when it seems so far away. So we hold hands and walk together, not knowing where the path will lead, as we dare to hold out hope in our time of need. And somewhere in the shadows we find faith enough to chase away our fears. Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our tears on the longest night of the year. Let's sing that double chorus one more time. Somewhere in the shadows. Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our tears on the longest night, on the longest night. Longest night of the year.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That was wonderful. Everybody, show them love. Let's take a nice deep breath of gratitude on that. Joe, it's such a beautiful song, such a beautiful message. The melody, it's so visual. It's for me, it's evoking a heartwarming, peaceful winter day. When did you write that, and where did that come from in you?
I wrote that actually for initially for a service at a Unitarian church here in the Chicago area. I mean, hey, most of Bach's music he wrote for services, so
Right.
I figure I'm walking in some pretty big footprints when I write music for a service.
I love it. I love it.
But a Unitarian minister came to me and said, "Do you have any songs that are specifically for solstice? Not about any other celebration or any other thing, but specifically some sort of hymn or some sort of thing. Do you know any songs specifically for solstice?" And as is often my response, it's like, well, I could spend a whole bunch of hours doing a whole bunch of research to find the perfect song, or I could just ask somebody, what do you need a song about, and sit down and write that song. And that's faster for me than doing it, because inevitably I do research and I get something wrong, and somebody's going to call me on it and say, no, 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 that's not how it went, it was like this, and if you look at this research or this thing or that thing, and bless all of those that are knowledgeable of the history of music so vividly and culture. But I sidestep that entirely sometimes by just writing my own song.
Yeah, it makes sense because you could spend so much time going down the rabbit hole for
Yeah.
something else. When it
But
could just
I was going through some darkness personally, and sometimes it feels like people ask me to write things or invite me into a space because spirit, higher power, higher self, however you're comfortable thinking about it, is calling me into a contemplative moment. And it comes by way of somebody else asking me to do a thing that I actually need to do for myself, but I'm not listening to that still small voice. And so it takes somebody from the outside to sort of rap me on the head and say, hello, hello, like, can you do this? So it proved to be a very therapeutic song for me. And a couple years after I wrote it, it ended up as number one on the folk DJ charts in North America, with a certain irony, because, the difficulty was ongoing in my personal life, but the song reached through that. And that's the power of music, and that's the power of community, is that it invites us into transformative moments, and it's part of why it's worth turning those difficult moments into art and into song. And it's why it's important to turn to song, even if you're not a writer, because in there is that thing that we need, especially this time of year, that reminder, that there is hope, that there is love, that there is joy. And we get to be a part of it, not in some distant future, not as a delayed response, but we get to claim that right now, right here with each other. We get that moment. So that's really what I wrote that song about. That,
oh wow.
we just keep finding that joy in this moment because we get to stand in it. We get to stand in that light. And we get to do it, especially, I think, when we gather through the Daily Antidote. And thanks to Carpe Diem Arts and JoJo and everybody pulling this together. Thanks, honey. Thanks, Katie. Yeah. So, anyways, I thought I might sing another song. Today is the 7th, the anniversary of Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941.
Yes, and there are several children and descendants of World War II veterans here in the room today. I believe it's Carolyn, Deborah, Dane, and Nancy. Anyone else? If you want to add any memories about that from family members or personal memories, please put them in the chat. And Joe, tell us about this song, please.
This is a song written by my colleague and friend James Keelahan, a Canadian writer, phenomenal songwriter. And many of us know about the concentration camps in the United States, but there were also concentration camps for Japanese during World War II in Canada. And this speaks to a story that James came across, I think, in a newspaper article. And he chose to write this amazing song about it, about this woman, Kiri Ito, and her spirit of defiance and her relationship with her piano. And just a beautiful song. I invite you to just sit back and listen and let my singing and James's song just carry you through the story. All of Kirito's joys, the thing she loved the best was to play her prized piano when the sun had gone to rest. I used to hear the notes drift down along the silent water as Kiri played the notes and scales for her dear sons and daughters. Me, I played piano, but not as good as Kiri. She went in for that long-haired stuff, but my, she played it pretty. The old piano had a tone which set my heart to aching. It always sounded sweetest, though, when it was Kiri playing. In December, when the 7th Fleet was turned to smoke and ashes, the order came to confiscate their fishing boats and caches. And Kiri's husband forced to go and work in labor camps. And Kiri left alone to fend and hold the fort as best she can. Music did not drift as often from up the cove at Kiri's house. And when it did, it sounded haunted, played with worry, played with doubt. For Kiri knew that soon she too would be compelled to leave. The old upright would stay behind, and Kiri she would grieve. Loaded Kiri on the bus with stoic internees. The crime that they were guilty of was that they were not like me. And if I was ashamed, I didn't know it at the time. They were flotsam and jet. I'm gonna try that again. And if I was ashamed, I did not know it at the time. They were flotsam on the wave of war, they were no friend of mine. I went up to Kiri's house to tag all their belongings and set them out for auctioneers to claim them in the morning. One piece that I thought I'd keep and hold back for myself was that haunting ivory of bright that Kiri played so well. But Kiri had not left it there for me to take as plunder. She rolled it down onto the dock and out into the harbor. The old upright in strangers' hands was a thought she couldn't bear, so she consigned it to the sea to settle the affair. So many years have come and gone since Kiri's relocation. I look back now upon that time with shame and resignation. For Kiri knew what I did not, that if we must be free, then sometimes we must sacrifice to gain our dignity. Yes, Kiri knew what I did not, that if we must be free, sometimes we must sacrifice to gain our dignity.
Exquisite.
Yeah, I got a little choked up there in the middle. Sorry, I haven't sung this song yet this year. It's sort of an annual thing that finds its way into my repertoire, and yeah. And if I was ashamed, I didn't know it at the time. Yeah, just this was the reflections of an older gentleman looking back on what he was asked to do as a soldier on behalf of his government and the things that he was told to do, and he did them. And yeah, and he's looking back. Yeah. So many years have come and gone since Kiri's relocation. I look back now upon that time with shame and resignation.
Wow.
I think there are so many heavy things going on in the world. And the reason why I sing that song, you're like, hey, I thought you were going to throw some joy down on us today. This is the season. But there are so many stories that go untold that relate to this time of year. And for me, I think I go back to the words of Mohandas Gandhi, one of the great liberation leaders of the 20th century, who still has lessons to teach us. And one of the things that he was on about in many different ways and different forms, this is not a direct quote, but it's a paraphrase of an idea, which is that we must believe in our opponent's capacity for transformation, or there will be no transformation. And this goes for, siblings. This goes for political rivals. This goes for entire people's movements.
Say it again, Joe. Say it for the people way in the back. Just repeat that once again, please.
We must believe in our opponent's capacity for transformation. Otherwise, there will be no transformation. When we hold someone locked in amber like a frozen mosquito from the time of the dinosaurs, our grudge holds them in place. I hear this idea a lot lately. Call them out, but call them in. And I think what James does with this song is he calls out the injustice, but through the reflections of this older gentleman, sort of now in his later years, moving through his shame and sadness over the things that he did as a young man, we see transformation happening over the course of this song. And we know that it's possible. We know that transformation is possible. And so that is the light that I hang on to in this season, is a belief in the evidence that transformation is possible, because I have seen transformation happen, and it doesn't happen as quickly as we would like sometimes, or ever.
Or in our lifetime.
But this is generational work.
Baby steps. It's the work. I mean, you see people in this country so afraid of dealing with how we got to this place that we are at. They
Yeah.
don't want to talk about it. They don't want to discuss history. You're going to hurt our feelings. You'll make us feel bad, and we don't want to hear about it. And so that keeps people stuck, as you
Yeah.
said. It keeps them frozen
Yeah.
in time, frozen in fear, and not able to move forward in a glowing and gracious way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll wrap up with we'll sing the chorus of that song I started out with a couple more times just to bring us back up into a different sort of consciousness. But thanks for receiving this song, to all of you that are part of the Daily Antidote community. This is one of my all-time favorite songs. I don't know that I've ever sung it without getting a little choked up, and I'm so glad that James Keelahan took the time to really document this story well in song and pass it to all of us as a reminder that it's possible any one of us is one step away from doing something that inevitably causes harm to another. But each one of us is also one step away from that aha moment that brings us back into a state of actively pursuing transformation, or affirming other people, or offering an apology, or offering forgiveness. And sometimes that offering forgiveness or offering an apology isn't about whether another person accepts our apology or even knows that that they've done something that requires forgiveness on our part. But when we hold on to
That's right.
that little stone in our chest, in our
That's
gut,
right.
that we just keep getting stuck with, so there is a practice in here that is about releasing these things, not because we're forgetting our history or because we don't want to help build a different future, but because the work of transformation in the world and all of these festivals of lights, all of them from across the world in the Northern Hemisphere at this time of year, all of these festivals are about bringing in the light as a symbol of transformation. So all of us are capable of transformation in little ways and big ways. And this is a great time of year to think about that. This is a
Mm.
beautiful time of year to think about, what do I want to change? Not just the New Year's resolution, but, I mean, you can do that too if you want, but, anybody who's been a part of any of the people's movements for decades will tell you every day is a New Year's resolution.
Right.
Like every day is an opportunity to just
Every day.
lean back into it and remember that sometimes we do get angry at injustice in the world, but we have tools in our hands to address it. And the fact of the matter is that anger can be the spark plug in the engine of transformation, but the fuel must be love. That
Mm.
anger will not lead to more transformation. It gets us into motion, but it's love that will sustain us. And if you look at the people that have spent a generation or two or three devoted to the things that they believe in, you recognize the ones that hang in there over the long haul. The C.T. Vivians and the John Lewises and the Bernice Johnson Regans, and
It's the long haul.
everybody.
It's the long haul.
It's
It's the
it's
long haul. Yeah.
believing, and I'll offer a quick shout out to my friend Elise Bryant here today, because we were just talking on the phone last night, and she's one of those people that I experience as really believing over the long haul in the capacity of human beings to engage in transformation. So
Beautiful.
let's sing a little bit
Well, hold
before.
on. Before you
Yep,
get to
go
the
ahead.
song, just let me have the opportunity to repeat the quote that I learned from you. Love keeps us streaming forward. Love keeps us streaming forward. So, before we get into the song, is there anything new that's coming up? Do you have any more podcasts? Any more stay-at-home sessions?
I do have a couple of concerts coming up. One on the 10th of December. It's going to be broadcast live from the Two-Way Street Coffee House in Downers Grove, Illinois. And then I'm going to have a young Taiwanese musician playing with me on Friday night, who plays the zongran, which we found out has the same tuning as my bouzouki. We sat down to jam together, and they're very different instruments, but they're the same notes. So we swapped instruments and started playing each other's instruments, and had a good time. So she's going to sit in with me. Her name
I
is
love it.
Tsu Tsen Wu. And then on the 18th, I will be offering my annual holiday concert. It's accessible in person for those in the Binghamton, Oxford, New York area, and online for everybody else. But it's a Zoom concert as opposed to like a Facebook or a YouTube thing. So you'll need to go to Six on the Square website, or my website, joejencks.com.
And Katie's put that in
Yeah,
Katie's put it
and
in the chat
and
already.
you can find the information about how to get into that Zoom concert on Saturday the 18th. So, yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's so good to see you, Renee. And thanks for bringing your joy. Yeah. And somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our tears. On the longest night of the year. One more time, that double chorus, somewhere in the shadows. Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our fears. Yes, somewhere in the shadows we find faith that is bold enough to chase away our tears. On the longest night, on the longest night, on the longest night of the year.
Yes, I love that turnaround tag there. I saw what you did.
Thank
Joe,
you.
thank you so much. Everybody, let's give it up for the incredible Joe Jencks.
Thank
Thanks.
you, and happy holidays to all of you. I hope that you find peace and joy and serenity, and that you get to spend some time with the people you love. And thank you for being here, because this has been one of my anchors throughout the pandemic, is having this Daily Antidote of Song. Thanks to Carpe Diem, thanks to JoJo Rossi, thanks to all of the hosts, thanks to Katie on Tech, and I thank you for your help today. Thanks so much to
Baby
everybody
Graham.
who keeps tuning in and just, making this community a real anchor for so many of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, everybody, let's breathe all that yummy goodness, heart-warming, heart-feeling, heart-holding music in. Let's take it all in. Okay, before we wrap it up, I want to remind everyone there's an open mic night on this Friday, December 10th, right here, up in this room. The time is TBA, but you can send an email to JoJo. JoJo, put your hand up. Send her an email if you want to sign up for the open mic night for Carpe Diem. Oh, let's take another breath. Whew. All right, and before we say our goodbyes, let me again extend an invitation to any new people in the room. Please stay until the end so JoJo can receive you with a very warm welcome. We're going to say, JoJo, are there any announcements, other announcements I need to know about? Okay, all right. Well, we want to thank JoJo Rossi, as always, for bringing us together. The incredible Katie, our guru and stylist.
Woo!
And the wonderful Joe Jencks, of course.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I'm going to say goodbye to the Facebook family. Enjoy this beautiful day. Keep your heart open. Keep your heart open for every opportunity to show love.